Good afternoon, everyone. Happy Monday to you all. I know Monday can be one of the most stressful days. Oh, hold on, give me a second. Got a little feedback here. Could be one of the most stressful days that people can actually go through. Just because the nature of Mondays, right? The hustle and bustle, back to your work week. Some of you may be off. I don't know too many people who get off on Easter Monday, but some people do. Some people take off. They got family there. So there's some things to, celebrate, I guess, if you do that sort of thing when it comes to Easter. But anyway, let's get into it, family. Let's have the conversation. I know a lot of people are in the market to buy homes. And believe me, with the rising cost of houses and the rising cost of the interest rate, I'm really trying to figure out, is this a good time to buy a house? Someone will always say there's never a bad time to buy a house, but I have to disagree. Especially if you already live inside of a home, especially if you already have a house. Now, I know a lot of people, and not to laugh at them, but it does make me chuckle, it does make me smirk in a sense, that people thought to cash in on some of this hot market of the real estate market exploding. And give me a second, I'm trying to get my thoughts together as I'm setting up. Give me 1 second, family. I'll get it together. Just give me 1 minute here, less than 1 minute. Getting a couple of things together, okay? But anyway, I know a couple of people who actually sold their home to go live inside of an apartment for maybe a year or two, just to cash in on the profit of this hot stock market, of this hot real estate market. And guess what? A lot of them are beating themselves up because now the market is too damn hot. And they don't know when the market will cool down. That's right. They don't know when the market will cool down. So the question is, should you get inside the market? Should you buy a home? Should you sell your home then buy a home? See, what they tell you is it's a seller's market. Oh, it's a seller's market. You can get top dollar for your home right now. The only question that I have for you guys is, where are you going to live at? Because here's the thing. If you are a seller, aren't you going to be a buyer like the next day, the next week, the next month? And in this market that we've seen, ladies and gentlemen, the interest rates on loans are skyrocketing with inflation. Did anyone know, and it probably changed already, but did you know that inflation is at 8.5%, up from 7.8% of last month or 8? I don't know. It's almost like it's changing every day. So the question is, what should you do? Stay your ass at home. Leave your... What I'm saying is, do not sell your home. Do not sell your home at all. This is the worst mistake that you can do, is sell your home at this point. Because some of you like, oh, I'm going to get an extra $200,000, an extra $300,000. But my question is, where are you going to live at? Because I'm looking at homes. Take, for instance, right, you have a home that's 4,000 square feet. You have 4 or 5 bedrooms, and you have 3 or 4 bathrooms, okay? At 4,000 square feet, you live in a comparable HOA neighborhood. Your house appraises for $700,000. And let's just take, for instance, you sell your home from that $700,000, but you only owe $300,000. So currently you have $300,000 cash in hand. Now, minus your realtor fees, title fees, and all these other state, local fees. Let's just say, for instance, you had $300,000. Depending on the neighborhood you came from and the environment and the community of your home being worth $700,000, I'm pretty sure you're living in a really good neighborhood. And so guess the first thing you're going to do? You're either going to try to find somewhere rural, out in the woods some darn where you might have to drink from well water and get a septic tank, and they may have to run electric lines. How much that's going to cost you? Or you may try to find a smaller home, maybe one story, but you're still looking for a nice neighborhood. Those homes that were once $250,000, $350,000, do you know those homes are $400,000 right now? As you see all these open houses, especially even my neighborhood. Now, granted, look at this, family. My city was rated the second most safest city in the United States of America. Number one safest city in America is Frisco, Texas. Number two safest city in America is McKinney, Texas, where I live. So people from California, New York are all flocking to this area in town. So, neighborhoods and community are popping up like popcorn each and every day. So what am I getting at? Good question, James. He says, buy when prices drop. The question is, when will prices drop? They soon have to drop. I'm going to give it another, see here, we're in mid-April. I don't think this can last no more than a year and a half. If this lasts more than a year and a half, I don't know what's going to occur within the economy. Because we're operating like we're in this weird, unconventional recession, right? Where people are migrating and flocking to certain parts for a cheaper way of living, thus rising the cost of the people who were living cheaply like myself, and now things are more expensive because you have people like New York, when they sell the homes, they're getting $1 million cash. And a lot of these people had their homes when they only paid $300,000-$400,000, little itty bitty homes, 1,800 square feet, 2,000 square feet. These really, really small little homes. And they come to Texas, they come to Georgia and Florida with $1 million in cash. So the home that they want, they're willing to pay $500,000, $600,000, $700,000 because they're from New York with a New York mind state, or from California with a California mind state, meaning that these same homes in California are worth $2 million. Like my home would be worth $2 million in California, $2.3 million in New York. We're talking about 5 bedrooms, 3.5 baths, a media room, a game room, a gym. I'm talking about living in Texas was great for me when I retired, but guess what? If we wanted to move, my wife told me just today, ladies and gentlemen, she said, babe, we can't move. We might as well go and put in our 15-year plan to start paying off the mortgage. And that's where I'm at right now. Now, granted, I know some of you're not settled. You want to move to different places, different states. But my advice right now is to stay where you are. Unless you're moving overseas, somewhere cheaper where you can get top dollar for your house. We thought about that. We thought about moving to another country. We thought about it. We're just like, we've been to a lot of countries and it's just not America. Even though America be one of the most racist countries in the world, but we are American. This is where our roots are. This is where our lineage are. And we don't know any other place that's better than this right here. Because when I went over there to the UK and France and all these other countries, still missed America. I went over to Africa, still missed America. Went to the Caribbean, went to Jamaica, went to all these other countries, still missed America. Went to Japan, went to Korea, Cambodia, Thailand, Philippines. I've been to all those places and I still missed America. I missed American streets. I missed American cars, but we don't really have any car companies no more. The only American car company now, ladies and gentlemen, is Ford. If you didn't know, the Chinese owns GM. So ought to be a heartbreak. Oh yeah, James, the rates are going to 7%. So anyway, I thought about a couple of things. So let's talk about it, family, because I really think this is important for everybody, especially if you are in the market to buy a home. I would tell you to get yourself a roommate and save as much money as possible. And when this bubble, this unconventional housing real estate recession pops, be the first one in the market. It's going to settle. In my current area, they have already popped up 4 new neighborhoods. And I don't talk about, oh, in a half-mile radius. No. I'm talking about across the street. They bought a farm that was across the street because this was a very excluded neighborhood. We live about 1.5 miles from the freeway, and this was the only neighborhood over here of its kind. We have swimming pools. They're about to build schools, meaning you can do everything from your community. They have lobster trucks and taco trucks, and they had gaming trucks to come out right for the community. We have a swimming pool near my house. There's another swimming on the back half. They're building a school right now. This is one of those exclusive neighborhoods, and this neighborhood was actually rated one of the top neighborhoods in America. That I won't tell you. I don't want you guys popping up. But nonetheless, they popped up just down the street here, 2 more neighborhoods, and across the street, another neighborhood. But let me show you, if you're not familiar with some of the current, some of these current mortgage rates out here, family. Now, this is coming from Forbes. It says, as of today, the average rate on a 30-year fixed mortgage is 5.30%. 5.3. With an APR of 5.32, according to bankrate.com, the 15-year fixed mortgage has an average rate of 4.47 with an APR of 4.50. And on a 30-year jumbo mortgage, the average rate is 5.22 with APR 5.24. Now, of course, a lot of these rates are according to your credit score, your income, etc. I'm going to say most Americans, the best you're going to get is 4%. I don't really see anyone getting more than 4%. It may be some exclusive people who may get 4%, but not the average American. You're not getting 4%. You're getting 4.5%. You're getting 5%. Let's look at it. They're looking at how things are changing rapidly in the market, right? Because we understand that supply and demand, right? We're understanding supply and demand. There's a huge demand of homes in the South right now, but a low supply. So now people who are in the development market of building homes, buying and acquiring real estate, land to build these homes on, they are skyrocketing the prices for homes. You know why? Because they can. See, I did a video quite some time ago about price gouging. See, there's all of these reports that your contractor and people in economics is telling you that material cost is way up, but it's not their price gouging or changing the prices or making things more expensive than what they have to be. It's just that we have a shortage of materials. That's not true. We don't have a shortage of materials, ladies and gentlemen. The problem is the materials are on the shore. They're on the border. They're on the port. That's the problem. They're just on the port in loading boxes and storage containers and meal vans and connexes and all these different names, but storage units that they have all these materials in. Oh, well, Mr. Ross, I know you want a patio and your budget is $40,000, but materials are way up, lumber is up, cement's up. It's going to be around $60,000. Well, I'll wait. Here's the thing. Don't be impatient. Don't be impatient about spending your money. That's the most asinine thing that you can do, is be impatient about spending your hard-working money just because you want a house right now. You can wait. You waited this long. You waited this long. You can wait a little longer. I'm telling you, financially speaking, if you can't find a great deal, if someone is not giving your home in their will or in your trust fund, and you're just going out here like a regular old consumer trying to buy a home, I guarantee you the prices are 25 to 50% higher for the same home a year and a half ago. Case in point, 40 minutes north of me, my wife and I were looking for real estate property to rent. We're, real estate investors. So we're going to acquire some properties, right? So we saw some properties for $50,000. We saw some properties for $100,000. Those properties that were $50,000, I mean, ransacking, drywall falling off, roof caving in, floor, it had to be a total rehab, so to speak, probably about 30 grand inside the home, which probably bring the comparables or the comps up to maybe 100 grand. Okay, I'm throwing out arbitrary numbers. Them same homes that we saw, not only did they sell already, but those homes went for $80,000 to $120,000. And what a real estate investor is going to do, they're going to put anywhere from $20,000 to $40,000 back in that home, and they're going to sell that home from anywhere for $180 grand to $220,000. How dumb could you be, Ross? I saw it and didn't take a move. My wife tells me all the time, babe, when we getting in the market, she don't talk like that, but I just have to clown her real quick. Babe, when we getting in the market, you say we was gonna buy some property. She gonna kill me later. That's where we are, family. And so it kind of made me go look at bank rate and look at the national average of things. And we see right here, family, that the national average is 5%. And of course, bank rate is going to give you a lower percent, especially if you have a stellar credit score. They're going to give you 4.3. So let me give you some insight. When I bought my home in 2020, I bought my home for $390,000. I have 3,783 square feet, 5 bedrooms, 3.5 bathrooms, and I named all the other rooms earlier. My interest rate on my loan, I have grade A credit. I'm over 750. I got 3.25% on my loan. 3.25. Rates drop dramatically. And I say if it drops more than a point, I'm going to refinance in 1 year. I don't care. I'm going to be in the home or I'm going to sell it for a profit anyway. So I was offered an interest rate of 2.25%. So I refinanced. I didn't do a cash out. I didn't take the equity out. I put the equity, I reapplied the equity right back in the home. And quite frankly, after a year, it's probably really no hard equity in the home. So I was like, hell, what the hell? I'll lose a year, but I'm still reducing my interest rate by 1%, which saves you thousands of dollars, if not hundreds of thousands. Because believe it or not, ladies and gentlemen, if you are going to buy a home that's $390,000, $400,000 over the course of the loan, did you know that you would be possibly paying over $500,000 for a home that was $400,000? So you would be paying $100,000 in interest. So there's all cool ways out here. All of these mortgage calculators from, Nerd Wallet, Bank Rate, Forbes, all of them have it. Dave Ramsey, you go to all these websites, or you can just do a quick Google search. But let me show you something here. Where is it? Well, I just did a quick search on the national mortgage rates because they have this tool that you can use. Here we go. Let me bring this over here. There we go. So here's a tool that you guys can use, and you just type in national mortgage rate. And this is averages of April 15th. And either your credit score is between 719 or it's worse than that. And hopefully it's not worse than 700, but some of us are, right? We're still working on our credit. So let's just take, for instance, we go from 680 to 699 credit score, right? And let's take, for instance, we'll use Texas. And you're going to put 20% down to avoid PMI insurance, right? Private mortgage insurance. You have to put 20% down. If not, they're going to sum that into your loan. They're going to add that into your loan, which is going to make your mortgage monthly amount anywhere from $100 to $150 extra. So So if you was going to pay $1,500, now you're going to pay $1,650. Just to kind of give you a number in your head. And right now, if you're not living in a really small 1,800 square foot home, if you have a family of 3 or 4, let's just go and say the average home you can probably find somewhere is $400,000. And your credit score, key point, your credit score is 680 to 699. The 30-year fix on the national average is 7.1%. 7.1% interest on a loan. That is astronomically high, ladies and gentlemen. Fixed a 15-year fix, and the only reason why the interest rate reduced is because you're paying off your loan quicker. Thus, they can bring down your interest rate. So let me give you grade A1 credit. I'm gonna go to 800 and up, and look at this. It's still over 5%, and this is grade A credit. And let's wipe away the down payment. It says 20%. Let's just do 3%. And now you're at 6% because now you're not going to even put a down payment. So now let's put 40 and up. You're still at 5% of an interest rate. So me at 2.25, oh, I'm high and fly. I'm living good. I'm not paying a lot in interest, but I'm going to show you how much that money really is. Now, of course, when I look at these things, I'm always thinking, and this is a conversation my wife had, me and her today, because I want my damn patio. My patio is roughly, well, it was $40,000 about 3 months ago. It's probably about $50,000 now. But nonetheless, I said, well, we're not looking to move anytime soon. Let's start working on paying off the house. So we start throwing in some projected numbers in there. This is what you should do with your loved one or with yourself, depending on where you are. But even if you're by yourself, this is good, still good to have these conversations with yourself and do the numbers, okay? A lot of us like to ask people, but you can do the numbers. It's very, very simple. They have a lot of calculators out here. They have a lot of projection tools out here to assist you with these numbers, okay? Now, here's some information. I threw in a couple of numbers, right? I threw in a couple of numbers, and here we are. I said, if we paid an extra $500 a month towards the principal, do you know that we would take off 8 years and 8 months of our mortgage? If we paid a simple $500 a month. Now, granted, some people are like, $500 a month ain't nothing simple. But family, I can tell you, I've said this time and time again. Most people, if you let me dive into your finances, I can save you anywhere from $100 to $200 because there's simply so many subscriptions account. There's so many things of your spending habits that I can virtually wipe away because you have to do the real work. That's why I said virtually. I can only like, hey, you don't need this, you don't need that. These are all wants. These are not needs. These are all wants. Some people will say shopping. The first time someone will say, one of my biggest expenses is shopping. And automatically people brain is, oh, he's talking about women. No, men and women are shopping like crazy when it comes to clothes. We went to a local restaurant. We was with another family. We were having dinner at a Black-owned restaurant. And almost every person we saw looked like they was in a club. Or they were going to a high-profile executive business meeting, meaning that half of them were dressing really well, really nice, upscale, and the other was dressed like they were going to a club, but they were dressed really nice, right, for a club. And they were wearing really expensive clothing. I'm just like, man, I see $1,000 on this guy. I see $1,500 on her. Balenciaga shoes and Gucci that and do this and gold chain. I'm like, damn. Is there a rock party in here? No, just regular old people. You know the notion that Black Americans are the poorest group in America? Statistically, but I can tell you this. When Black people want to buy something, they find out a way to come up with the money, don't they? Let me just talk to you before I go through these numbers. When Black people want to go somewhere, they want to attend some venue or concert or event or function, they find the money somehow, some way in order to afford their way of living. In order to finance, because I see people do that as well, take out loans to go have fun with, which is the most craziest thing that I've done before. Let's just keep it a buck. I'm gonna keep it real. I've done it before. That's why I know it's stupid. See, I would love for you guys to stay here on Financial Literacy 101 and subscribe and share this, because I made the dumbass mistakes that I give you guys the advice not to. See, let me be your stool pigeon. Let me be the example so you don't have to go through the pain of paying back hundreds of thousands of dollars in interest and in loan fees like I have over the course of time. So you don't have to wait until your 40s to live a nice life. Just giving it to you as I see it. James says, what about the poor overseas versus the poor over here? Our poor are rich. Absolutely. Because let me tell you something, going to these different countries, I'm talking about parts of Asia, parts of Europe, parts of Africa, parts of the Caribbean. It doesn't matter where you go in the world, parts of South America. See, a lot of times when people think of poor, they think of black people. No. You should not think of that. It's the region in which you live. Because I've been to a lot of these countries out here, and it didn't matter the color sometimes. But all of these countries in some form or fashion have a large rate, a large percentage of impoverished people. Okay? And unfortunately, the continent of Africa, just looking at the numbers in some of the countries, they probably have more than others. That doesn't mean that the country itself is poor, but the people are. What am I getting at? Here in America, when we look at things, when we look at the price of things, and we really don't care too much for it, we can pass on it. But if it's something we think we really need or we really want, we find the money, don't we? We find the money somehow. I've seen people at the top of their budget. They wanted a BMW. They found out how to give a BMW. They couldn't buy a new BMW. They bought a used BMW, right? They're going to get a BMW though. So let me show you this, family. So we're looking through the numbers here, and we just put some projections out here that the total interest saving by adding $500 a month is $44,000. It's $44,000 savings by simply adding a couple of hundred more bucks. And I even do this for you. Let's just say, well, you know, Ross, I can't afford $500. The most I can do is $100. Look at this, family. If you started in May, depending on your numbers, you can possibly save 2 years off the mortgage, meaning now instead of paying 30 years, you only have to pay on it 28 years. And you're going to save $12,000 in interest. Okay, let me do a more feasible number that I think all of us can reach to, right? We cut out Starbucks. We cut out you going get your nails and hair done every month, right? Every other month. Guys, you're buying your trinkets and stuff on Amazon and Etsy and Overstock and Wayfair. You can hold off on your furniture prices. That couch can probably last another year. That bed can probably last another year and a half. Because when we make more, we're like, oh, I want this now. I want a new bed. I always want it. No. You want your house. That's what you want, right? So let's do a more feasible number like 200. How much more you think that would take off? It would take off $22,000, and it would take off 4 years. So instead of 30 years, you're now at 26 years. This is what I showed my wife. I said, honey, look at these numbers right here. We could pay off our house in 10 years. Let me show you the numbers. I said, if we applied an extra $2,000 to our principal, right? Knocking the head off the dragon. That's that interest. That's that principal. An extra $2,000 a month on our mortgage. We can knock off 18 years. And our house will be paid off June 2032. Right here, family, with extra payments. The original payment, June 2050, but with my extra payments of $2,000, June 2032. Right now, granted, that does come with some sacrifice. Don't get me wrong. I don't got it like that. I'm not balling like that. We will have to put a pause on our vacation fund because we put a certain amount of that. We will have to put pause on some of our investments. But the biggest investment in your life is your home, is it not? The biggest investment in your life is your home. So is it worth it? The answer for us is yes. But we're not going to be so bold to do an extra $2,000. The number we came up with that seems feasible at the time, so we can still kind of enjoy life to a certain degree, is, shoot, I wish $5,000, but is $500, which takes off 8 years. So we can possibly pay it and think about it like this. Your yearly tax return, you can apply that. That'll knock the head off the dragon. Any extra money, bonuses, you can apply that to your mortgage and knock down the total amount of years you plan on it. Think about this. We thought about it. Baby, we paid this house off in 10 years. Before we are 50, or as soon as we hit 50, we'll own our own home. We'll own our own home. We will have all this additional cash, and then we could live free, essentially. Free meaning that we don't owe anybody nothing. Cars paid off, house paid off. The only thing that we have to pay is property tax and HOA. And with that being said, I also thought about getting solar panels, right? And in this neighborhood, I don't know, there's a possibility that I could disconnect from the grid. So let me show you. Here's the numbers. We looked at these numbers. They said, well, Mr. Ross, the solar panels are going to cost you $44,000 at a loan APR of 1.49 for 25 years. Your initial monthly payment would be $131, roughly $140. But when we did our average electrical costs, because what this does not include is a $23 grid fee, right? Because whatever grid we're on, Encore grid, you have to pay for grid usage. Because when your solar panels are collecting energy, excuse me with the verbiage, this world is somewhat new to me, but when you're collecting the energy and those parts where the sun is not shining as bright, the amount of energy you stored on the grid, you start to retract, okay? You start to take some of that energy back into your home. Thus, you're never paying an electric bill, but you're paying a solar bill. And then we looked at it and said, well, you add the 140 plus the plus the $23, we're looking at it roughly around 163, 170. So we rounded off to $170 a month for the next 25 years. And then we looked at the ratio, right? We did a sum, we did an average of our last year of our energy use. Guess what we came up with, family? We came up with an average energy use for electricity of $130. So I started doing the math, of course, with my fingers. I was like 40, 50, 60, 70. Wait. So we're going to pay an additional $40. And then he said, well, this has long-term cost benefits, meaning that after 25 years, or if you pay more, you pay it off sooner, just like anything else, you virtually won't pay any electric bill except $23 a month, which is absolutely cool. I get that. But then again, I don't know what the future holds in 30 years. I don't know how the laws are going to change. They're saying a lot of these solar credits are going to go away, but we're turning green. Some houses are already being built with solar panels. So we made a decision, and I'm going to call the rep here pretty soon, that we're not going to do it right now. We're not going to do it right now. We just don't see the cost-based analysis of it all. This is just not for us. And then we're thinking about adding more money to our mortgage to pay the house off even faster. So there's a lot of things we're thinking about. So these are some of the things I wanted to bring to your attention as we are looking at the rising cost of homes and also interest rates. Absolutely phenomenal. It's painstaking at best, too. Oh, it's painstaking. Now, let's kind of switch gears here. Ed Zilla said, may I have your thoughts? I'm going to take this quick question really quick before we shift gears here, because we really got to talk about this Ukraine-Russia conflict. If you notice now, if you watch the news day in, day out, you've been following this, but I really haven't. I kind of looked at it and threw my hand at it. I'm not going to lie to you. All right. Let's see what Ed Zilla's saying. Good afternoon, brother. I'm in Campo, Texas, and I'm enjoying the stream as usual. Thank you, brother, for supporting the channel. I do appreciate that. I qualify for the Good Neighborhood Program. I'm not familiar with that, but I'm thinking of waiting until Biden's out of office until I buy my first home. Why? And please give me a little more information about the Good Neighbor Program. As a matter of fact, brother, this is what I'll do for you so we can have a better conversation here. Give me 1 second. Give me 1 second. I'm going to stop sharing my screen real here. I normally don't do this, but I'll do this one time. I have a link. I'm going to put a link in the description. And when you click this link, you can either join with your video or without your video. It is up to you. Okay? There's a link in the description. I'm going to give you a couple of minutes to join so you can break down the Good Neighbor Program. And we can see the pros and cons of it all. And so we can possibly make a really good decision right now, okay? And again, take my advice with a grain of salt. At the end of the day, it's your choice what you do with your money. But there's a link in the chat. You can join it with and without your video. It's your choice. I'll give you a couple of minutes as I start preparing for other things here, okay? And while that brother is trying to join, I'm going to move on to the Ukraine issue. And when he comes back in, we'll pause and we'll handle him as need be. The messy middle. Oh, yeah, ladies and gentlemen, the messy middle, the Ukraine-Russian conflict. Have you noticed the Will Smith, Chris Rock slap has literally took the Ukraine conflict off the map? No one has been talking about this. No one has really been beating the drum on this except the news. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to read a little bit here because I want to provide context to the situation. Okay. I want to provide context to the situation so we kind of understand the angle in which I'm coming from. Okay. It states here, if you live in most any Western country, your government. All right. We're going to take a pause here really quickly. We're going to add the brother to the screen. Let me get back for a screen here. What's going on, Ed Zilla? How can I help you, brother?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Oh, great. Okay, yeah, I've listened to your streams for a while. This is my first time participating in a StreamYard collab like this. First off, I want to say thank you for this opportunity, and I enjoy what you do.
Not a problem. Thank you for the support.
Yes, sir. Well, yes, to fill you in on the Good Neighbor Program, also a heads up, I'm actually driving to go file my business taxes. I'm trying to rush out of here. And so the Good Neighbor Program is a program in Texas where that is pretty much, it's identical to a VA loan, to where it's no money down and they take care of a majority of the closing costs, etc. And it's for active duty police officers here in Texas. And
okay.
Well, my wife, she works for one of the leading financial institutions here in America, and she actually works in the refinance, home refinance, like dealing with like those hemp programs and everything like that, and that were going on, disaster loans, and okay. So she sees firsthand what people's rates are and everything that's going on. And we were talking about a home some years ago, and just due to some different things, we didn't really pull the trigger on it. But I began to build up, reestablish my credit and everything, and that's getting a lot better. And so I was thinking about going. We were thinking about going on and getting a home, but with the rates and everything, we're just thinking, we possibly we might have to wait for a different administration to see if the rates come down a little bit. I wanted to get your thoughts on that. I came into the stream right at the tail end when you were talking about the rates being at 7%. So I didn't hear what you said before that.
Yeah, so the national average right now is about 5%. The best rate that most people are going to get is around 4%. If you don't mind me asking, because you're still anonymous here, what is your current credit score?
Oh, I'm sorry, brother. Hold on real quick. Kind of breaking up. Let me go back to it. Okay, can I ask you to repeat that?
What is your current credit score? You there, brother? Seem as though as we lost him. Edzilla, are you there? Okay, I think he's back in. Let me remove him here.
Off the stream.
All right, there you go. I say, what is your current credit score?
Right now, I am at, I believe it's 687.
687. Okay. And you say you don't have to pay a down payment. And what is the loan amount that you guys are eyeing within you guys' budget?
I'm trying not to get. I really don't want to go into the 300,000 range. I'd rather stay around 200,000, right around there.
All right. So is 300 the top of your budget, or is 200 the top of your budget?
Like 250.
So right in the middle. So I'm just going to raise it to 300K. Now, the thing about this is, let me show you very quickly. If you can see my screen, look at the amount of interest that are loans right now, because what we need to understand in the current market today, there is a high demand for homes and a low supply. So homes are extremely expensive. Now, I don't know the size of the home. I'm not familiar with the comps or the comparables in Campo, Texas of a home. I don't know how big, the square footage, the neighborhood. All of these are factors of essentially how much your home will cost. And then with the Good Neighbor program, they're going to cover some of the costs, but you have to make sure that if they're covering the cost, are they adding that into your loan, which is going to make your loan amount higher. Thus, your mortgage payment is going to be higher as well.
Oh, okay.
Now, I would tell you this too. Don't judge whether you buy a home on the current political positioning or the current presidential administration. You factor this by the current cost in economics, inflation, the current cost of homes, and the national average of interest rates. When I first got into the market 2 years ago, when I bought my home here in Texas, this is probably my third or fourth home. My interest rate was 3.25, but my credit score is over 750. So I'm in another credit bracket, which thus gives me some of the best interest on my loans. Now, a year after that, I refinanced my home because it took off 1% at 2.25, thus greatly reducing the amount of money of mortgage I'll be paying on that loan. I didn't do a cash out refi, meaning taking the equity out of your home and maybe doing some home improvement, or I don't know, taking a trip to Bora Bora, whatever you want to do with the money. But I tell people either you're going to do home improvement or you're going to put the money back into your home. So the question is this: right now you live in an apartment, correct?
Oh, we're in a rental home. It's a house, a rental.
In a rental home. So give me some of the bills that you guys pay in your rental home. How much is the rental payment, and how much are the utilities? Give me those two numbers. If you can just kind of sum up your gas, electric, all of those things in one bill, and then how much is your rental payment?
Oh, let me see. Summing them up in one. Let me see. I can go bill by bill essentially. I know for the rent, yeah, I'm getting a pretty good deal on that. It's 1,100. It's about 1,100 a month, and it's a 3.5 2. So that's really good, and especially here in Central Texas. And let's see. So energy comes out to around.
This, for the sake of time, just sum it up for me. All your utilities. So I got your rental payment at $1,100, and what's all your utilities put together?
Okay, all the utilities around. Looking at around. I want to say around another 11 to 12, or almost right at 1,000.
Okay, so let's just say $1,000. So every month you're paying around $2,100 for your home, out flat.
Correct. That's correct.
How much money do you have left over from all of your bills when it comes to your home?
Let's see, leftover, because I also have a security consulting business that I have for other police officers for off-duty employment.
Okay.
Doing security, and so I'm starting to get that off. So essentially, I have about anywhere from maybe like, and it's a monthly basis.
Yes.
I have to bill about 1,000 a month.
Okay. And now this is where the real breakdown of you and your fiance, your wife, your girlfriend, whoever you're living with, really have to sit down and do the budget. Because with that extra $1,000 you have left over after all your bills, are you saving in your emergency fund unless you already have that? Are you investing 401k, 403c, Roth IRA? Do you guys have a vacation fund? Do you guys have little kids where you're going to open up a 529 college plan? Because basically what I'm getting at is, with your current credit score, the current national interest rate at your credit score, if you were going to buy a home, the numbers, plain and simple, are telling me you'll be paying maybe around $1,500 to $1,600 if you were to buy the exact home that you're in. Because right now you're not paying any interest rate. You're just paying a mortgage rate. You're just paying a rental payment. But that's going to go astronomically up just because of the national rates. Now, this was back in 2020. Then you'll be somewhat comparable to the amount you're paying now. Okay, these are very arbitrary numbers I'm throwing at you, but I'm just telling you, you can always go and look at some calculators and see how much potentially, but no one will really tell you until they run your credit. I know I hate the hard hit, but this is essentially how you will know. And if you're still in the repairing your credit, what I would tell you, don't worry about the administration, right? Political affiliate. Listen, we know that they have a large part in how the economy is being ran, but there are some things that are just out of their hands. Like they can put in legislation and bills to cut costs here and there, but it seems as though they're not doing that. They're not even focused on that right now. They're focused on my next topic, which is the Ukraine-Russian conflict. But what I would say is you probably want to find a home that is similar to the one that you are in somewhat the same community and or neighborhood, or something that is comparable to. Now, when it comes to your credit score, continue to work on your credit score. I don't know if you've been a part of this channel for quite some time, but I used to offer free credit letters that you send into the 3 credit agencies, Experian, Equifax, and Experian, to wipe off anything that you essentially did not sign. Because what a lot of people don't know, according to the FCRA, Federal Credit Reporting Act, Act 609 and 611, anything that you did not personally sign with your signature, right, your John Hancock, so to speak, can be wiped off your credit score. And I have these letters already prepared with myself and another lawyer. They're totally free. Don't cost you a dime. If you notice, most things on here are free, especially as Financial Literacy 101.
Yeah.
And the only thing you need to do, I have my email on my YouTube channel, but it's rawsworldllc@gmail.com. That's rawsworldllc@gmail.com. And they say, hey, man, can you give me those credit letters? And then those credit letters are designed to wipe off inquiries and also any accounts that are in bad standing and or that are in collections. And you will see, I know when me and my wife did this, we raised our credit score anywhere from 50 to 150 points. So that's what I would do first. You want the best credit score going into buying a home because it's going to save you money in the long run. Here's another thing. That extra money, and I won't say extra because money is never extra because there's always uses of money, but with that money you have left over, you should be saving as much of it as possible. That means minimize your activities, minimize your spending. You guys have to sacrifice to have the sort of lifestyle and quality of life that you have. It requires sacrifice. So you can do these things simultaneously, right? But the very first thing that you need to do is to create a budget.
Yes, sir. Yes. Those letters you speak of, yes, I'm familiar with those. I have a cousin who helped me out with that, and helped me get some things off of my credit. I actually just did that, I think about a year ago. I definitely appreciate that information. And I think now this that you break it down like that, I would say that we have really I would say, well, me personally, more like 500 a month, really, I would say, because half of that I am investing and dealing with, pretty significantly into crypto now. I'm going to be jumping back into stocks as well, but so generally,
okay. Let me just cut you off very quickly, brother. Let me cut you off. For right now, I would not be dealing with cryptocurrency. It's too volatile. I know. Overnight, you can become a millionaire. I got it. Believe me, I do crypto videos all the time. I know. But I would do probably safer investment like index funds that's going to give you anywhere from 7 to 10% return. But when it comes to cryptocurrency, this is me personally, right? This is my conjecture. I will put a pause on the cryptocurrency. I will allocate that money in an index fund, no mutual funds at all. Index funds and ETF funds to have those solid returns on investment, okay? ROI. Now, something that I would like to point out that one of the viewers here have pointed out, they said, damn, that's a lot for utilities because you said $1,000. Now, you might want to go into some energy saving costs because I know here, my current cost for electricity every month is around $95. When it comes to gas, we pay around $90. And when it comes to water, I want to say it's around $80. So roughly, my utilities are not over $300. Now, I'm not counting Netflix and Amazon.
Okay, see, I was. Yeah, I was including all of that.
Okay, but here's the thing. If you have certain costs within your utilities, like your cable bill, I don't know if you have cable, I will probably get rid of cable. We don't have cable. We live off of Prime Video, Netflix, and some other service we have, which the total
that's been on my mind a lot lately.
Around $50.
Yeah, that's been on my mind a lot lately. Lately, I really am thinking about getting rid of that because this cable right now, I'm like I barely turn it on like ever, and I use the apps for everything and stuff. I think the only reason I have cable is just to make sure that we're ready for Game of Thrones coming up, and that's it. But I'm pretty sure that I can get access to that with just an app.
Absolutely. And here's another thing. When you email me, I'm gonna send you these credit letters, but I'm also gonna give you a link where you can get all the channels. We're talking about Cinemax, HBO, Showtime. I won't say it here, but once you email me, I'm gonna send you a link or some links where you can go and get pay-per-view, HBO, Showtime. Nothing that I'm affiliated with, so don't. Okay, but I use it. I've been using it for years, and it's absolutely cheap as hell for TV, for entertainment, okay? But it's about cutting costs up front to afford the home that you want. But again, your credit score is going to play a good factor. If you can get involved with this Good Neighbor program, do that as well. It seems though, just look for any hidden costs, red tape, the small print, so to speak. Make sure they're not trying to gouge you on the back end of the loan. But there's some work you need to do right now while this whole real estate boom is occurring. But I won't go off the current administration. I will never do that. I go off current costs, which is the most important thing, right? We know that they can do legislation, bills, laws, all that good stuff. But who knows what may happen in the next month or so? A lot of these costs may come down. Because as one of the viewers said earlier, if it reaches 7% for good credit on a loan, there has to be a real estate pop, because not too many people with a 720 credit score or better is going to pay 7% on a interest for a mortgage loan. They just won't do that. Okay.
Okay, yeah, totally understood. Yeah, that's my main focus right now, is trying to get my credit up and everything. That surprisingly enough, I'm 36 and I've never had like a credit card in my life. I've just established to just maintain with making like really timely payments and everything. I got my first credit card this year, and so I'm using some credit strategies to basically have everything, going automated and on time to boost it up now. So I'm looking forward to the score coming up. But yes, yeah, I'm gonna try and find out more information about the Good Neighbor program, because I'm trying to weigh out to see if it would be more beneficial for us to go through this program or just go through a traditional loan and get the home where we want to go and everything, and to go from there.
But the Good Neighbor program does make it affordable for you to essentially own your own home. So I understand the program, but again, it's about the details within that loan. But there's many factors. I'm not saying that you can't do it, because I absolutely believe that you can, but I will probably work on that credit score. Also, I will be saving. I will do what I call extreme saving, meaning cutting all unnecessary costs. There's a huge difference between things that you need and things that you want. And you should focus on things that you need, not things that you want, because you're probably paying for a lot of things that you want, right? You don't need cable, you want cable. So I'm just going to pop up my current credit score here on my Navy Federal account. It's a little bit higher than I thought. So let me share my screen with you really quickly. Where am I at? Here we go. So this is my current credit score, right? And this says right here, if you look at the top up here, it says my name, Raymond Ross, key factors impacting your credit, length of time revolving accounts, number of accounts with delinquency. But at first it was 785 and now it's 783. Okay, so it was I've had an 800 credit score. The only real number you really need to be worrying about if you want like what they call great, when you start to get into the A credit, right, which is good credit, is 720. When you get to 750, 780, that's considered excellent. But again, if you're already at, I believe you said, 680 something?
That's correct.
Yeah, 680. We should try to be really focusing on a number around anywhere between 7 and 710, because of the demand and banks are raising the interest rates. This is the target where you'd be trying to meet. And the numbers would change drastically of your interest rate coming down. Now, unfortunately, because of the current times, the best you'll probably get is 5%. I mean, I don't know if you guys are eager to get into a home, but and I got it, you're renting somebody else's home right now. You're paying all their bills. You're helping them to live their dreams. You're paying off their mortgage. And that's what you don't want to do. You're helping somebody else to be free. You should be working on you being free, not somebody else. So that's the first thing. Let's see here. You haven't sent me these links. That's my buddy D. But anyway, I'm going to go here, brother, but you have my email, rawsworldllc@gmail.com. Any other questions that you have, please leave them in the email. Don't forget, when you are sending me this for those credit letters, make sure you just say something about the TV program or something like that. And I'll send those links to you as well, okay?
Oh, yes, sir. Definitely. Yes. Yeah, I appreciate this. Yeah, and I know I've been a little choppy because I'm kind of traveling on the outskirts of town right now. I apologize for the reception issues.
No problem. You have a great day, brother.
Hey, thank you, brother. You too. Appreciate this.
All right. Shout out goes out to that brother. And we're going to move here. We're going to jump right into the messy middle. Good old Russia and Ukraine. Now, as I was saying before, it says if you live in any Western countries, your government support for Ukraine, including sending weapons and imposing sanctions on Russia, can give the impression of a united global response to Vladimir Putin's invasion. But that isn't the case. As I told you this before, America is behind Ukraine for whatever damn reason. We know they got special interests. But the world is not behind Ukraine like people think. They said most of the world's 195 countries have not shipped aid to Ukraine or joined in sanctions. They're not sanctioning Ukraine. You know why? They're taking a stance and saying, you know what? I'm not getting involved. I'm not getting involved. Those two cousins over there fighting, those two brothers over there fighting, two sisters over there fighting, I'm not getting involved. I'm just going to stay right here in the middle. I'm not going to give support to Ukraine. I'm not going to give support to Russia. I'm going to take my hands off the wheel. And this is why I was telling a lot of us, you really should not be focusing on this conflict. Now, I know gas prices are skyrocketing. Wheat is skyrocketing because Russia supplied, I know the UK, UK, Africa, and America with oil as well as wheat, okay? More so when it comes to wheat with Africa, but we was get some of our wheat from Russia as well. As it stays here, it says that we live in a bubble here in the U.S. and Europe where we think the very stark more in geopolitical states and framework of what we're seeing unfolding. It's a universal cause, Barry Powell, a senior president at the Atlantic Council, told me. Actually, most of the government of the world are not with us. Now, here's the thing. As we're looking at this very, very closely, I'm going to blow it up. Votes on United Nations resolution to condemn Russian invasion. Yes. Who's supporting Ukraine? Canada, United States, parts of South America, Brazil, but not Bolivia. Britain, Egypt, Australia. A lot of these were either colonized by the British or are British territories, like America. Even though we know America, we're our own independent nation, we're still a territory of Britain. But anyway, that's another topic for another day. And then you have those countries who are abstaining from the conflict, like China, over 1 billion something people, like India, over 1 billion something people, Iran, South Africa. See, the EFF, the one that Julius Malema is ahead of, they said that the Russians actually helped them during some of the, I don't want to use the word invasion, but they supported them during some conflicts in South Africa, and they want to show their support for Russia. But again, they are abstaining from sanctions and support in this whole conflict. Let's read on. It says here that Israel coordinates with Russia on Iran, its chief advisory, and neighboring Syria, with which Russia has a strong relationship. Russian-speaking immigrants from the former Soviet Union also makes up a sizable chunk of Israeli electorate. Israel Prime Minister has avoided directly criticizing Putin. They're not doing that. And though his government has mediated between Ukraine and Russia, little has come out of the effort. Now, we look at some of these countries, 7 Latin American, Southeast Asian, and African countries have made similar choices. Bolivia, Vietnam, and almost half of Africa's 54 countries declined to support the UN resolution condemning Russia. Some of you guys probably want to know why they're doing that. Why is Russia so damn important to Africa? Over 50% of African countries are abstaining or showing a little bit of support for Russia. That's because when these African countries, and I won't call them by name, but when these African countries were asking for support to get rid of some of these French soldiers, the Russians are the ones that came to their rescue. So that's why they're showing they're showing support for Russia, or they are abstaining to sanctions for Russia. If anything, when we look at China, India, and Russia, they're all friends, essentially. Let's keep it moving. I'm going to show you a picture. Russia's friends. Oh, yeah. China, with all its economic and military might, has seen the war as a chance to enhance its own geopolitical standing as a counterweight to the U.S. while still maintaining ties to Russia. The countries recently issued a joint statement proclaiming a friendship with no limits. Oh my gosh. What did I tell you guys? See, I've been doing many broadcasts, no, not many, maybe about 2 or 3, on the friendship of China and Russia. Kind of reminds me of the Korean War, right? When North Korea was fighting South Korea. Who did they have support from? Russia and China. It says here, the countries recently issued a joint statement proclaiming a friendship with no limits. You know what no limits? That means that the Chinese president either has or is willing to provide economic and military support for Russia in this Ukraine conflict. That's what it seems to me. It says, but China has struggled with the delicate balancing act of honoring that commitment without fully endorsing Russia's invasion. That's the abstain part. They're like, we support you, but we're in business with the U.S. We are in business with the United Kingdom. We are in business with Australia. We are in business with Canada. We don't want to hurt our bottom line, but we will throw a couple of trinkets and support, maybe a couple of weapons, because we see that America is helping Ukraine. We see that a lot of parts of Europe are helping Ukraine. And we don't know who's at fault here. I'm just kind of digging inside the mind of the Chinese president. We don't really know who's at fault here. We can come up with some conjecture. We can pontificate about a couple of things, but nobody really knows, right? CNN, MSNBC, ABC, NBC, UNC, HBCUs. No, I'm kidding. All of these, well, HBCUs are supporting Ukraine, by the way, because they're giving them free tuition for the people who come over here, over 100,000 Ukrainians. That's another topic. But China is like, we really don't know when we'll help you, how we'll help you, and how much. But there's no limit. Very, very contradictory. But anyway, let me move on. It says here that China support for Russia, while very important, is also carefully hedged and measured. 4 countries, North Korea, Eritrea, I always mess this one up. This is the small country in East Africa that, like, what's the comedian lady's name? Forgot her name. You guys know her. Syria and Belarus outright voted with Russia against the UN resolution condemning the invasion of Ukraine. Belarus is a former Soviet state whose aristocratic leader asked Putin to help suppress protests in 2020 and allowed Russia to launch part of its invasion from within Belarus. Russia invented in Syria's civil war on behalf of the Moscow-aligned government there, and Syria is sending fighters who may aid Russian forces in Ukraine. Syria is sending troops. And as I stated before, that out of the 195 countries in the world, more than half of them are abstaining. They don't even want to really get involved in this. They don't want to pick a side. And I understand that. Because here's the thing. A lot of these countries are tied into Russia for oil and wheat. And they see the rising costs in fuel in America. And they're like, you know what? What we're going to do, we're going to say no contest. We're not going to pick a side. We're not going to support either side. We're going to be on the sidelines. You can't sub us in. We are just spectators. We're just watching it. Now in the States here, what's next? It's not usual for countries to avoid picking sides. You see that? Family, you see that? What's next? It's not unusual for countries to avoid picking sides on big global issues. Several stayed neutral during World War II. Dozens sought to remain free of both U.S. and Soviet influence during the Cold War. But if the war in Ukraine drags on, Jones said, neutral countries could come under strong international pressure to condemn Moscow, and for countries with close ties to Russia, Even neutrality can be an act of carriage, meaning that we're not going to pick a side. We're going to let these two powerhouses figure it out for themselves. We don't want to get involved. Well, this is how the West use scare tactics for other countries who may be neutral to do their bidding. What am I talking about? The US, the UK, Australia, Canada, those big, huge Western countries, and even those countries in South America, they may say, well, we know Europe colonized the majority of our countries, and we have a strong tie with Europe for support, economic and humanitarian resources. But right now, we're not going to pick a side because we get support from Russia and the Western world. What's my ploy? Family, your focus should not be on this conflict. This is my opinion. Because it does nothing for you. It does nothing for your bottom line. It does nothing for your family. It does nothing in any sort of the word. If anything, the only reason why fuel costs have literally dropped maybe anywhere from 20 to 60 cents per gallon is because Joe Biden signed legislation almost a month ago that he was going to release some of the oil reserves that we have out of Alaska. That's the only reason why fuel costs has dropped. But if you notice, it's still on the high end of fuel costs, not on the low end. And quite frankly, certain things that have been happening in social media that has really taken the shine from the Ukraine-Russian conflict. Me personally, I don't want anyone to get harmed in this conflict. I'm not supporting Russia. I'm not supporting Ukraine. I'm not supporting war. I'm not supporting conflict. If anything, it's just confusing the people from around the world and mostly United States citizens, because you know how our government is. They want us to throw our support behind Ukraine. But see, I do not believe we have enough information. I don't believe we know some of the historical history of both of these countries. Russia is stating we're invading Ukraine because of a large population and percentage of neo-Nazism. Some people are stating that's false. They're just trying to stop Ukraine from joining NATO. I mean, there's so many stories out there, family. Choose one. But at the end of the day, you supporting Ukraine or you supporting Russia, what is going to do for you? If anything, we should be really protesting to our government. But you know, America, we're the world police. We got the ordinary man from Odessa. And like he said, no, guys, you don't know. You don't know. You don't know. The only reason why I wanted to cover Ukraine and Russia today is because have you really been following this? Initially, you have, right? But you kind of moved on with your life. You're accepting some of the fuel costs. You're like, it is what it is, right? I got to pay a little extra in fuel. The government put a sanction on one of the countries we're getting fuel from, even though we produce more oil and we use more oil than any other country in the world. But we were getting probably what? Maybe anywhere from 4 to 9% of oil from Russia. I didn't know that till I did the research. So that's why our fuel cost is up. We was actually getting oil from Russia. And here's the big ticket. Will we ever put sanctions on China like that? If China say, you know what, we're going to help Russia with no limits. We're actually going to stand on our commitment to Russia, and we're going to give them economic and military support. Will America put the same sanctions that they did on Russia and even the Russian oligarchs? Will they put that on some of the Chinese billionaires and on the Chinese government? Will they do that? And if they do, what are the ramifications of them doing that? See, we have to look at things very systematically in a process. We have inputs, we have outputs, and then we have deliverables. The input is China supporting Russia. The output is more military force and more economic power with Russia. What are the deliverables in that? With the help of China, Russia can defeat Ukraine more easily because of that military support. Because quite frankly, you already know that the US and UK is giving support to Ukraine. So why not China give their friends support? But now we're in the menage a trois, are we not? Because now we have these three large powerhouses, Russia, China, and the United States of America, by the way of the UK and some other countries in there, that are supporting their own side. Where's the messy middle? All the people that live in these countries. Because we are the ones who are feeling the pinch. We're the ones who are feeling the pain. See, some of you guys are focusing on gas because you drive each and every day to work, picking up your kids, grocery shopping, activities, etc. So you're feeling it. What about the rise in groceries? I know you're paying more for some of the essentials of your groceries, fruits and berries, eggs and milk, bread and meat, etc. All because it takes fuel to ship and transport all of these goods to your local grocery stores and your local stores. D'Angelo says, I'll send every Chinese immigrant back to China. Well, I'm going to show you my neutrality on this one. I don't condone nor condemn his statement. I'm staying in the middle. Also, I'll put every U.S. factory out of China. We know who he's voting for. No, I'm just kidding. But there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know who you voted for. I don't know if you're a Republican or Democrat or you don't give a hell. I don't know. I'm not in the middle of any of this. I'm really not. I'm not picking a side, whether it be Republican or Democrat or independent. I'm not picking a side. I'm not supporting Ukraine or Russia. I just wish that all of this goes away and all of the murder, death, kill that's occurring with this conflict. Because again, there are a lot of innocent people on both sides. Sound like Trump a little bit. There's innocent, there are good people on both sides. Man, that was a total farce. Ain't no good people on both sides. But I can tell you this, mass media will paint Russia as the big, bad bullies in this one. And the more you watch it, the more that you will subconsciously pick a side. You will end up picking support for Ukraine because of, was it 1987 or 1984, George Orwell's book? I'm going to stand 10 toes down on this. This is my square. First and foremost, I don't want anyone else to get killed, murdered, or be caught in this conflict in either of the two countries. We understand there's thousands of Ukrainians that are now homeless. Everything they built up in their country has been wiped away. But then again, I don't know how this fight started. I could read things from Democratic ran news stations that will paint Russia as the big bad bullies. I can read things from a Fox News perspective that paints Ukraine as the big bad bullies. Or I can just live my damn life and wait till these gas prices go down. So I'm just gonna keep watching the gas prices. I got my buddy here, Stephen Gardner. What's going on, Stephen? Hope everything is well with you, sir. Nice to see you here. But again, the different political parties will have you to pick a side or two. But in the end, what does that do for your bottom line? What does that do for your bank account? What does that do for your investments? Is it going to help the gas prices? Because again, we get anywhere 4 to 9% of our fuel from Russia, or we did. And so that's why Joe Biden has signed legislation to release some of the oil reserves, to kind of relieve the Americans at the pump. How long would that last? That's the question. How long would that last? Now, we understand that the US and UK are already involved in supporting Ukraine monetarily and militarily, meaning we're giving military support, not in troops, but as an equipment. And we've given them millions of dollars. I think the last time I checked, we were up, roughly $300 million in support to Ukraine. But again, family, you can get all these political advisors and all of these geopolitical news media platforms to tell you that Russia is the big bad bullies on the block and they're taking advantage of a smaller, boring country of Ukraine and pushing them to countries that border their countries like Poland and Belarus and Romania, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But at the end of the day, we don't really know. We're over here in America living fat and happy. We don't truly know what's going on. We can read as much as we want, but we truly don't know. The only thing that we know is that these sanctions that were imposed on Russia is hurting America. And then we put some of those same sanctions on China. When will this pain stop? Now, as I told you before, there's only one American car company. One. See, some of you think like, nah, man, there's a lot of American car companies. We got Chrysler, we got Dodge, we got GM, we got Ford. No, we don't. The only American car company with majority is Ford. Look into the makeup of GM. A large portion of GM is owned by the Chinese. And I think Chrysler too, if I'm not mistaken. So again, if those sanctions are put on China because of support for Russia, they're friends. And let me not forget India. There's a lot of H1 workers over here from India by the way of call centers, IT, software programmers, data scientists, etc. If they impose sanctions on both of those countries, where will America be? And I know some of you are red-blooded Americans. Just like D'Angelo, he said, send the immigrants back to China, send the Chinese factories back to China, and make everything American. Well, D'Angelo, that won't happen. Because United States millionaires and billionaires will not have a business without China. Because they don't want to pay the cost of it. No, they don't. Over 85% of the products in your home are probably made by China. That picture on the wall back there is probably made by China. I just want you guys to think about this as we are ending here. If anything that I will support is a stop to the conflict with Ukraine and Russia. Not who's wrong, not who's right, not who's going to benefit if Russia loses, not who's going to benefit of Ukraine losing, but a full stop, an end of the conflict, an end of the war. That will essentially help all the global citizens of the world. I love a world at peace, not a world at war. Because believe it or not, you may not look at it like this, but if we are supporting Ukrainians, then we are a byproduct of war with Russia. We are. Here's the thing. If you are supporting someone, it's like if we was in a boxing match and Ukraine comes back to the corner, and in US and UK and Australia and Canada, you got the cut man, you got the coach, you got the guy who, the cut man, get all the swelling down. They're supporting that fighter. Then on the other side, you got Russia. And when they come back to the corner, they got India and China to support them. It affects the entire globe. We're talking about major, large conglomerate countries that control over 50% of the world's wealth. Because the same people we put sanction on, like Venezuela, guess what we're doing? Hey, Venezuela, yeah, we know we got bad ties in the past. We said some bad words to you guys. We try to overthrow your presidency. We try to replace him with somebody we wanted in the presidency. But now we need your oil. Because you know what happened? We called up Saudi Arabia. We were like, yeah, we know we didn't support your prince on that whole, like, you guys killing that reporter, allegedly killing that reporter. Saudi Arabia didn't even answer the call. Now we're asking Venezuela, and Venezuela picked up the call. And Venezuela like, we don't know. So the jury is still out. So there you have it. Thank you, Stephen, for your support, sir. D'Angelo said, nope, they're made by my fellow foundational Black Americans. Okay. But anyway, this is the current situation of the Ukraine and Russia conflict from my perspective and my conjecture. You have a great and wonderful Monday. I see you guys on the next one. Man, oh man. Sanctions on China. Cost is really going to rise. I'm out.